All right, everybody, welcome back to another special edition of Corona Geek. Today we are talking with Dual Cortex Gaming about their new app, Henry the Cloud. On the call here with us is Xander Horst and also Nick van der Meulen, right? Van der Meulen?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's fine.
Almost. And
Crazy Dutch name, so.
Yeah, Xander, did I say your last name correctly?
Aureus.
Aureus. Oh,
yes,
all right.
sir.
There's a little bit of a tongue roll in there. Yeah, I'm not accustomed to. Yeah, for sure. Great. Well, I tell you what, I've got Henry the Cloud here. I've been playing it on Android all morning, and I'm really excited to hear sort of the background story to the game, and hear some of the pieces that you guys think make it special. So, who wants to go first? Basically, tell me a little bit about you guys and your background, how you got started.
Nick, do you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, sure. Why not? Well, first of all, we met, I think, about 2 years ago at a festival in Amsterdam. We live really, really near Amsterdam. And, well, we discussed our background over there, just a nice chit-chat. And we found out that we did quite the opposite of each other. I was still pursuing my master's degree in new media and digital culture, and Alexander just finished his in software engineering, and we thought it was a really good fit to start a game. When I first talked about the game, Alexander, we were discussing that it should be really, really, really easy and for everybody to play. Although, as you might have noticed already, the level can be really difficult.
I tell you what, the first thing that it reminds me of is Flappy Bird. You probably get a lot of comparison with that.
Of course.
However, once you start playing it, it's not like that at all. The only similarity, I think, is the fact that the character sort of goes up and down, and you have to avoid obstacles. But apart from that, it's very, very different. And we'll get into some more of that later. But on the website, you guys say that you want the player to think ahead and have quick reflexes. So how did you kind of stay true to that philosophy?
Yeah, again, our philosophy is basically to have fast-paced and bite-sized games. Having such short gameplay really requires you to immediately jump into the action, right? Otherwise, it's going to get boring. So for us, we made sure that the levels were challenging. The speed was quite high, in fact. So the sort of speed ramp within the map builds up quite fast. So there is a sort of, we try to go for the easy to learn, difficult to master kind of thing.
Well, I think that's a nice balance. The very first time I played it, I understood the concept from watching the video and seeing the trailer and stuff, but I wasn't executing the mechanics correctly.
Right.
I thought that I was supposed to either tap the cloud to select it and then swipe to where I wanted to go, or something along those lines. But what I learned really quickly was that it was following the path that I made with my finger,
right,
and that I needed to make that decision ahead of time.
Exactly.
I think that's the deal with the mechanics at this moment. A lot of people. They are used to tapping or just quickly sliding back and forth with games on their phone, and this is something completely different. Although, of course, in the past, some developers already used it, but most of people don't know it, and that's one of our strengths. I think is that we try to implement a new mechanic that's still easy to learn. Like you said, if you get a hang of it, well, you need to think a little bit ahead, and well, the game can get quite interesting really quickly.
Yeah, Nick, I agree completely. At first, like I said, I was trying to use mechanics that I were familiar with, touch interfaces and swiping and things like that. And but as soon as I realized, he's going to follow whatever line I laid down, and as you said, Xander, I have to make my decision quickly and have to let my finger up. So it's almost not it's about drawing a path, but it's also about letting go of the screen as soon as possible. Yeah,
exactly.
And that, I thought that was something that was unique, because a lot of times we are, we're trained to touch the screen, to make choices, and here you're training us to not touch the screen in order to exceed our path.
So it's finding the balance, right? So it's lines that are too short will not really get you anywhere.
Right.
Lines that are too long will definitely not get you anywhere.
Right.
So yeah, that's the trade-off, and we try to make an innovative concept here. So I think we managed that quite well.
But here, tell us about the background. I mean, like, how did you hit your, define your project timelines, and how did you manage because this is not your full-time job. You do other things. How do you manage your time?
Yeah, so I will start off with this one, since I'm still pursuing my master's degree. I will be done in about a month. So we want to release Henry the Cloud in a month too. So it's going to be a really, really busy week. Busy month for me, the coming 4 weeks, and we're doing everything in the evenings. Xander is most of the time done at around 8, 7. Then I hit my computer too, and we work till 2 or 3 in the night. And that's our life at this moment. We sleep for 6 hours. But I think that's the deal for a lot of starting game designers.
What kind of workflow do you guys have? I mean, are you in the same physical space from 2 to 3 in the morning, or are you online?
No, it's just online. So we try to use quite a bit of tooling to manage our work processes, and otherwise it's pretty much all digital. So we live, I think, 30 to 40 kilometers. So let's say 25 miles from one another. So we do have meetups because obviously it's not that far. But no, we do not share an office space. So, but it's 2016. So working digitally is easy enough. And yeah, otherwise this is just, for me, I have a day job, which I work 40 hours. And then as Nick says, in the evening hours and the weekends, it's just working on this. Doing this in between jobs, and for him between writing his thesis and our pretty much non-existent social life.
Fair enough. So nights and weekends, late nights, working remotely. Is there any tool in particular that is sort of a must-have?
Yeah, there's quite a bit actually. I would say that all the Google Drive related functionality. So obviously the Google Sheets and the file exchange. But for me personally, I use Git, another revision control to manage the code. So the code base is solely managed by me. And we share Pivotal Tracker, which is it's actually used for Agile and Scrum kind of teams. But it allows you to define stories, which are basically tasks which you can assign an X amount of points, and it will calculate for you like how many stories can you perform in the upcoming X weeks or months. So we try to use that to manage our workflow, to divide the tasks and so forth.
How do you handle that in terms of graphic assets? I mean, do you sort of start out with just a size, and then you put in the game mechanics and go from there, and then you say, I mean, how do you iterate or fine tune a graphic when sometimes you may not know exactly what size you're going to need?
So yeah, we also just released a blog post on this actually, on how our graphics were built up, what kind of tooling we used, and so forth. But what we mostly did was we would make sketches either on real paper, physical paper, or for instance in Photoshop. And yeah, we just started going and as you say, iterating over it. And I think that's really key. So you make mock-ups and you see how it works for you. You check the dimensions and the ratios between the objects, and just prototype. Do a lot of prototyping with people. Ask how they feel about the ratios between the various objects until you get it right.
Well, let me tell you, you guys say that you're going to release in the next month or so. It feels like a feature complete, solid game now. What's holding you back from launching it today?
We are still doing quality assurance. So we tried doing a bit of an iterative agile approach but it ended up being quite waterfall, as they say. So we made the design. We worked from there. We started implementing it and so forth. And while we did do a lot of prototyping in between, we also just did huge blocks of implementation. So right now we have a game that is quite feature complete, as you say, but there is also still a lot of stuff that isn't actually field tested. And we are being really perfectionist in this. This concept actually started out as a sort of pretty rough, low time to market, Flappy Bird-ish idea game. But due to our enthusiasm, which we also wrote about in a blog post, we had continuous scope expansion. So we thought it would be cool to add feature X and then feature Y and then feature Z and so forth. And here we are a year later with a game that is about, I don't know, I think 5 times as big as we originally intended it to be. So when you are that perfectionistic about everything, because honestly, the design, the code, everything, we want it to be pixel perfect. You just need to do a lot of quality assurance on it as well.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. You kind of touched on monetization, and you also touched on this these custom characters. And I think that the two seem to be moving in a direction where it's hand in hand. We've all seen Crossy Road, where you have all these characters that you can unlock, and then if you aren't patient enough, you can purchase or, and then it just seems like having a character that you can customize makes the player more invested in the game as opposed to just a session-based experience. What are you guys' thought on that? How are you monetizing it, and how do you see your character playing into the value of the game?
Right. So again, it should be mentioned, our philosophy as a studio, we are all for, we are indie at heart, right? So we are a 2-man studio. We've already been working on this game for a year. This is not something that we live off. And so monetization is for us, it's not a big priority. So the main focus, we are not commercially driven. And this also reflects in the monetization of our game, because we do allow people to sort of spend real money in order to speed up the customization of the character to get better gear. But anything in our game can also be bought with in-game currency. And for this was really important to sort of be fair to everyone. So people who cannot or do not want to pay, they should not be able to have a significant advantage, particularly in getting scores. And obviously the customization of Henry is an incentive to keep playing, right? So every type of gear, so there's 3 slots. It's there you can have glasses, you can have some headgear, and you can have some mouth gear. And for each of these slots, they will give you, for instance, a chance to cheat death or extra score. So these are things that will actually help you in getting a score better than your friends. Henrys each have a unique perk, so either they give you again a chance to cheat death or faster coin accumulation and these kinds of things. So that is absolutely an incentive to keep the player invested and to want them to buy gear with real money or in-game currency. But again, this should really be fair to all.
Okay. You said something just a moment ago I thought it was interesting. You said that we're not commercially driven.
That's right.
So what exactly does that mean to you, to both of you, over the long term? I mean, something, especially when you compare it to the idea of something that's sustainable. Let's say that you have 1 million people playing this game, and they're all wanting updates, and you have a day job, and one of yours, Nick's getting his
right.
Yeah, you're right. So how do you balance your own personal needs versus the needs of the player if it's not commercially driven, or do you have a different definition of what that means?
No, we have the same definition, I think, and for us, this was really something that we wanted to do. We love the gaming industry, or we love gaming. I have a day job, and Nick is working on his thesis right now, and will afterwards also get a real job. I don't want to offend anyone, obviously, but this is for us something that we just love doing, and we want to create, and we want to give something to the community. This is also why we have the developers log. We try to actively feed back into the community. We will make Henry open source at some point. We are actually intent on really giving back, and we are truly an independent developer, not driven by money, but by love for such games and such products. And obviously, if there will be 1 million players or 10 million, and people want updates, and this is something that we can evolve into becoming something sustainable, and we can live off it, then that is something that we would obviously love doing. But our current main objective is not to become rich off this or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what, I see a lot of great features in the game. I see there's a lot of fine detail, I think. There's things like the Henry pulses when he's flying around, which these are all things that I think they're just little extra touches, because it would be just as easy to make a character, a cloud, that doesn't pulse, but that adds a little more organic feel to it. There's also like acorns in the trees, which is another fine detail, because you're actually zooming past these trees, and you really don't need them to be there, I don't think, but they are, because they're there, you do notice them. And then I love the impact animation. So when Henry runs into something, he actually tips up a little bit, like he's impacted something. Who came up with all of these little fine bits?
The both of us, to be honest. So Nick did all of the concept and the drawing of the art and so forth. And again, we are very perfectionistic in this. And as you say, we could have left out these details, but we did include them. And that is just because we think it should be not just well-rounded, but complete. And these are actually finishing touches that hopefully set our game apart from your average side scroller.
I must say, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And I must say that Xander is one of the toughest software engineers to deliver visuals to, really. If he does not agree to something, he's honest about it. He has no background in visualizing at all, but he's like, no, come on, man, be honest. Try to make something new, and then we'll discuss it. And of course, he's not the one who's making decisions. We're making decisions together, but it's good to have a relation where somebody else can be honest if they don't like something, and then that you get feedback and continue developing stuff that you both like eventually. And I think that's the key to for example, the acorns in the trees, because they give just that extra touch.
Hey, one of the things that I also noticed, you guys have a press kit on your website. You have team pictures. You have a trailer. So kudos to you guys for doing that. What was your thinking, your thought process there when you were thinking, okay, let's build this game, in our spare time that we don't have much of, but let's also do all the marketing pieces for it. Let's make sure that people can spread the word. What was your thought process there?
I think that that the foremost thing was that we wanted people to know who we are. Since you can know a studio, but like studios like EA Games or Blizzard or Activision, those are studios you know by name. But our studio, it's not telling anything to anybody. We want to let people know who we are, the people behind Henry the Cloud, the people behind our studio. And that's exactly the same for what we did with our press kit. Since, people have no information about us at all. If you Google us, you maybe get a LinkedIn account or a Facebook, and my Facebook's not telling anything about gaming or gaming related. So that's why we came up with the press kits. Of course, we did some research online, and we saw that a lot of sites advised us to create a press kit. And until now, a lot of people are happy with it because it gives them the information without having to ask us. And that, well, it saves a lot of time for press and for just interested people.
Okay, so then so the takeaway that I hear then here, because you've already said you've done all these things as an example. You're eventually going to open source the code. You're doing a developer blog. So really, what somebody should be doing at this point is not just waiting for the game to come out, but they should be paying attention to all the things that you're sharing, the kind of learning experience and
absolutely. Yes, obviously we have to say the obligatory follow us on social media, right? But for real though, because we do share more than just fancy pictures of our gameplay. We also right now we are already starting to give back to the community a little, and this will only keep expanding. If anyone is interested, we also we are about to launch a Kickstarter, since marketing is pretty much what we currently lack. So we do have a strategy, obviously, but we do not really have a budget. And in our team, this is our lack of expertise. So dual Cortex, two Cortices, right? You have the alpha and the beta, the more abstract and the more logical. So this represents Nick and myself. And the marketing here is just well, again, not our strong suit. So for being a small indie with a $0 budget, we try to do everything everything we can, and we will definitely report back our findings. But to get back to my point, we are launching a Kickstarter. So to anyone that does want to help out in allowing us to expand on our marketing and things like buying music, then that would be most definitely appreciated. And obviously, we will give back to our backers.
Okay, excellent. So then, along those lines, people should go where? To dual Cortex Gaming,
or henrythecloud.com.
henrythecloud.com.
Easier, yes, sir.
Easy. Okay, so there you go. Okay, guys. Go to henrythecloud.com. And when will the Kickstarter campaign be up?
Nick?
It will be up in 2 weeks. We don't have a definite date yet, but it will be up before the 5th of May.
Okay. Yeah. If you guys will share that link with me when it's live, I'll be happy to share it out with everybody and encourage everyone to participate. You guys have done a great job, and I'm looking forward to when the code is eventually open sourced. Myself, I want to dig into how you've done some of the great things you're doing with the game.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Hey, thank you for being here.